The FBI has reportedly now accessed the San Bernardino shooter's phone without Apple's help. The Justice Department has abandoned its attempt to force Apple to help it unlock the iPhone used by one of the shooters in the San Bernardino terrorist attack because investigators have reportedly found a way in without help from Apple. They filed a 3-sentence statement where they wrote, prosecutors wrote, they had now successfully accessed the data stored on Syed Farouk's iPhone and that they no longer need Apple's court-ordered help, which of course Apple had refused to provide, Lewis. We don't know exactly how investigators got into the phone or what FBI agents learned from getting into the phone, but a very unusual turn. Apple services are no longer needed by the FBI to get into that phone.
I wouldn't put it past the government to announce that they got into the phone, even if they didn't.
But why?
Why? Because that's what they do. Why ask why?
But what purpose would that serve? Saving face?
Saving face and making it seem like they have more technical skill than we believe they do. But, okay, for the purposes of this story, let's just assume this is true.
Yeah.
I do believe it in this case. I do believe they got into the phone.
Oh, good.
And just so you know,
Thank
full
you.
disclosure. And this is what I said before. I said that they don't need Apple. I said there's going to be a way. Of course there's a way. There's always a way. They didn't need Apple. Was I right?
Well, you ultimately were right. And the most ironic part is the government won't discuss how they did it. And it mentions also, some of the articles about this mention, Apple could take the FBI to court to force them to disclose how they hacked into their devices. Although there are provisions that say this is allowed. You are allowed to break those. You can't hack your own phone laws when it's law enforcement or for reasons of national security, et cetera. But that doesn't mean Apple couldn't try taking them to court. Just an unusual and really bizarre story. And the most interesting part is that there was an NPR interview done with an expert whose name eludes me right now. And his belief was that actually the NSA already had the ability to do this, but they wouldn't openly acknowledge it. So that the entire thing of trying to force Apple to get them in was a sort of just a motion they were going through to make it appear as though they don't know how to get in. But now they've admitted that they do. It's all just very, very bizarre. And a lot of people, tech experts, are emailing me saying they're really confused with all sorts of different hypotheses.
It also really wasn't necessary to announce that they got into the phone. They didn't have to do that at all. And
well, ultimately, somebody would have found out that the court order, that the legal proceedings had been dropped, and the logical question would have been, well, why? They don't want to get into the phone anymore? I mean, I think ultimately there was going to have to be some statement made.
I suppose. But you would agree with me that it might not necessarily be necessary.
I was against Apple making software at the request of the government, right? You remember that. You were in favor of it. I was against it.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with the FBI doing this. I mean, this does seem to be within the law. They are allowed to do whatever it is that they can figure out when it comes to getting into access to data related to a terrorist act or crime. And I think fair is fair. I didn't think Apple should have done it, but I see nothing wrong with what the FBI has done.
Neither do I. And the best reason for Apple to try and figure out how they did this is to prevent people from being able to do it in the future. Now they can do this with any phone, presumably, if they figured out a way.
Well, now I wonder if this impacts criminals who now might think that they can encrypt their phone in a way that won't ultimately be cracked by the FBI, and at least that will give you this will now give some of those individuals pause.
Unless they are making the phone and the software, that's not going to happen.
Send me your thoughts about this. I'm on Twitter at @dpakman. Of course, Lewis is on Twitter at @LewisMotamedy. Warby Parker is offering a free 5-day home try-on to give you the opportunity to check out their glasses. I personally wear Warby Parker glasses when I'm not wearing my contact lenses. And I also started with one of these free at-home try-ons of 5 pairs of glasses. You can get your free home try-on and support the David Pakman Show at warbyparkertrial.com/TDPS. I don't really like going into glasses stores and trying on glasses while the salesperson sort of hovers over me. And I like more than 30 seconds to actually figure out whether I like the glasses. So with the Warby Parker home try-on, I was able to pick 5 pairs that I liked, put them on in the comfort of my own home, pick the one I like the most, and then Warby Parker put my prescription lenses in there for me.
A lot of people don't know that the eyeglass industry is controlled by just a few big corporations that keep prices very high, like $300 for prescription glasses high, which is just insane. Warby Parker glasses start at $95. That's what mine cost. And for every pair of glasses sold, Warby Parker distributes a pair of glasses to someone in need. You can try 5 pairs and see what you like. Check out the at-home trial and support our show by going to warbyparker.com/TDPS. It costs nothing.